Back in his room, Baum was still asleep, and Kuhn talked to him, urging him to wake up soon as there was another test the next day, and Baum would be disqualified if he didn't wake up and participate in it. Rachel interrupted them, asking Kuhn for a favor. As Baum remained unconscious, Rachel talked to Kuhn about how Baum had pursued her when she first mentioned her intention to climb the tower. She never imagined they would meet again, which is why she asked Kuhn to lie to Baum when he woke up, making him doubt whether he really saw Rachel. Rachel wanted to avoid problems between them, believing that they became burdens to each other when together. Kuhn thought Rachel was being selfish because Baum truly wanted to be with her. While this was happening, Anak held the Black March and gave it to Shibisu, telling him to communicate with the sword because it didn't talk to women. Shibisu tried to talk to the sword, but it rejected him for not being handsome enough. It turned out the Black March only liked handsome men. Anak left with the sword, and as she did, Endorsi met her and continued with her condescending tone she had started at the crown game. Endorsi explained that the Black March belonged to Yuri, the only princess chosen in the last 500 years to receive one of the 13-month series swords. She warned Anak to reconsider keeping the sword, once again calling her an imposter. In another room, Kuhn pondered how he couldn't let Baum continue associating with Rachel. Just then, Baum woke up, and they told him he'd been sleeping for 5 days. Baum worried that he might have missed something important and jeopardized the team. But to his relief, they explained that there was a 3-day break for all the participants after the crown game incident. All was well. After the break, all the participants gathered in a large room to select their positions in their teams before moving on to the 4th test. Liro explained that tower battles are conducted in teams, and these teams must have specific positions. There are 5 types of positions: fisherman for close combat, spear bearer for ranged attacks, light bearer for strategy and information, scout for analyzing enemies, and wave controller for Shinsu control. Kuhn asked if the injured participants would be disqualified, and Liro mentioned they would be if they couldn't participate. Referring to Baum, Liro suggested he fit the wave controller position, but the instructor for that role, Yuga, wouldn't arrive for 2 more days, so there was time for Baum to recover. 2 days later, Baum woke up, and Kuhn informed him of the news. Kuhn also mentioned Rachel and made Baum believe the girl he saved was a stranger, which saddened him. Kuhn tried to cheer him up, saying that as Baum climbed the tower, he would eventually encounter Rachel. He gave Baum new clothes to replace the blood-stained ones from the previous battle. Baum changed into the new clothes and thought about going to Rachel's room. But before he knocked on the door, he decided to leave. After the events, Baum resumed his life at the tower and attended a class with other participants who were also being considered for the wave controller position in their teams. Master Yuga explained that Shinsu was a divine substance that controlled everything, and a contract had to be made on each floor with an administrator to use a fixed amount of Shinsu. Laura was the only one among them who had already made such a contract while he was asleep. Yuga asked the others to activate their pockets in visible mode to receive the order to make a contract with an administrator. Baum did so and found himself transported into a dark realm, where a giant snake accepted the contract because it sensed a unique scent on him. This left Baum completely exhausted, while the others seemed unaffected. Later, Baum met Hwa Ryan, the masked girl whose eye he had damaged. He apologized to her, and she accepted his apology before leaving. Laura and his teammate Ho then approached Baum. Ho kindly offered his help if Baum needed it, which Baum accepted, forming new friendships and acquaintances. Baum then returned to Kuhn, who informed him that Rak belonged to the spear bearer position and was currently in his class for training. In that class, they had to throw a spear at an extremely distant target. One of Rachel's teammates was also in the same class, showcasing himself as a skilled spear bearer and becoming Rak's competition. Following this, Shibisu and Hats approached Baum with a favor. They needed to make friends with Baum and Kun as part of an assignment. Baum and Kun agreed, and they all went to the cafeteria to eat together. Endorsi joined them, wondering how they could be friends when they were supposed to be enemies. Shibisu explained they needed to make at least 9 friends as part of a test. However, Endorsi didn't believe in friendships between men and women but still decided to join them. Anak arrived, no longer part of Shibisu's group, and commented on Endorsi's fall from grace due to her actions. Baum noticed the black march in Anak's hand and inquired if Anak and Endorsi were Yuri's sisters as fellow princesses of Zahard. Endorsi confirmed that they were chosen, not biologically related. They were selected from the best families and races as trophies that Zahard flaunted. Endorsi then attended her class for those who qualified as fishermen, a class in which they accumulated points by knocking down rivals. but their lives were at risk. She considered eliminating the others for more points, but Anak attacked her. Dorsey fought back, calling Anak weak for being nothing without the Green April, but Anak pointed out that they were all imposters since there were no genuine Zahard princesses. In the Light Bearer class, Kuhn's task was to gather information. He discovered that Rak had qualified for the next test and tried to find information about Rachel and Baum, but the information he found was limited, raising suspicions. Kuhn also found information suggesting that Anak should be taking the tower's tests right now, but the data he had showed Anak is deceased. The battle between Anak and Dorsey continued, with both throwing participants into the abyss during their pursuit. Anak eventually caught up with Dorsey, but Dorsey halted her with a powerful strike. Dorsey demanded to know who Anak really was, and Anak revealed that she was the daughter of the true Anak, the authentic Zahard princess. Dorsey had realized this during the crown game, which was why she called Anak an imposter. However, Dorsey had stopped pursuing her because she became interested in someone else. Anak shared her past and her mother's tragic fate at the hands of the other Zahard princesses. This leads to her desire to avenge her mother by eliminating all the Zahard princesses, starting with Dorsey. An explanation was given about Zahard, who was the first man to climb the tower, becoming the king who founded the kingdom. Women who received Zahard's favor automatically became his princesses. These princesses didn't have to be his daughters, they came from all over the tower. However, the price for the power they received was that they couldn't have relationships with men or have children, to prevent the spread of the power given by Zahard. They were like pairs of shoes that no one could use, only admire. Some princesses chose not to obey this rule, like Anak's mother, who had a child and was eliminated by the other princesses because of it. This is why Anak wanted to avenge her mother from the other princesses. After this explanation, the battle between Anak and Dorsey continued. Dorsey dodged all of Anak's attacks and mentioned that Anak's mother had made a grave mistake because she couldn't propagate the power given to her. Anak became enraged and managed to get close enough to Dorsey to break her guard and push Dorsey off the edge. But Dorsey grabbed Anak and pulled her down as well, ending the test. In the depths of the platform, both were still alive and started arguing. Dorsey asked Anak if her mother, who had treated her well after becoming a princess, ever regretted what she did. Anak told her no, remembering the moment when she said goodbye to her mother before her mother was clapped. In Baum's class, they were casting some sort of spell using Shinsu as part of their training for the upcoming test selections. Ho, who had believed himself superior to Baum, noticed that he couldn't control his Shinsu while Baum continued to improve rapidly. Laura had taught Baum how to control his Shinsu in return for a favor. Kun arrived and left with Baum, making Ho envious of Baum. Kun told Baum about the fight between Anak and Dorsey, who were both severely injured, suggesting that they probably fought due to their complicated relationship. Shibisu and Hats arrived, and Baum asked Kun to help Shibisu because Baum considered him his friend. In the hospital, Dorsey had a broken leg and mentioned that she ran out of points due to medical expenses. Baum and Hats visited her, bringing her food but only giving it to her if she agreed to become friends with Hats and Shibisu, with the condition that they would provide her with daily food. Dorsey accepted, and Baum and Hats tried to make a similar deal with Anak, who initially refused but was convinced with a chicken pie. Baum, Hats, Kun, and Shibisu celebrated the success of their plan. Later, in Shinsu class, Ho was still envious of Baum's sudden improvements and suspected he might be hiding something. After their training, Ho received a letter with instructions on what he needed to do to reach the top of the tower. Liro Ro had a meeting with Yu Han, who told him he wouldn't be in charge of the next test and would be replaced by Quant. Liro Ro accepted this decision even though he found it strange. Later, Liro Ro gathered all the participants to explain the next test, called the Joint Test, which involved a pursuit of tag. Rak and Rachel's partner wouldn't participate because they were the only ones who passed the previous test. The participants would be divided into two teams, and Kun realized he was in Team A, while Baum was in Team B. The test involved two pursuers called it, one of them being Quant. The objective was to make their teams that reach the end goal or steal Quant's insignia. The winning team would receive points, but they'd lose if Quant took their insignia. The participants were taken to the circular building where the test took place, and Tima was already present. Kun acted as their leader, explaining his plan to lure Quant. They used Shibisu as bait, and while waiting, they managed to attract Quant, who played along. Tima had Anak as their it, and she tried to steal Quant's insignia, but Quant dodged her ambush, making him quite angry. This is why Liro Ro wanted to be in charge of this test because Quant got angry. He lost control. To Liro Ro's surprise, Quant held back and gave the participants a 111-second head start before chasing them. Liro Ro had doubts, but Yu-Han believed Kun had a more elaborate plan. In Team B, Baum was determined to find Rachel, who was using the name Michelle to hide her identity. Dorsey informed Baum that Rachel had already left, and when he asked why Dorsey chose her for their group, she explained it was the only option. Back in Team A, they continued running towards a bridge, hoping to win the test. Kun knew that Quant wouldn't make it easy for them, and Quant, after finishing his count, began chasing them. Kun organized the team, with Anak getting into an elevator and needing 10 minutes to reach the bridge. The rest of the team had to keep Quant occupied for at least 5 minutes. As Quant began climbing the stairs, the team set up an ambush. Quant understood the plan and decided to teach them a lesson. He used incredible speed and shadows to defeat the participants on the stairs within a minute. Anak exited the elevator and was escorted by her group. Quant caught up to her quickly as the others had been defeated. Shibisu suggested waking up Laura to help them, but Kun doubted Laura would assist since he had practically passed the test already. Liro Ro observed the situation and assumed they had already lost because Quant was getting closer to Anak, knowing which exit they were headed to. Rak warned Liro Ro not to underestimate Kun. Liro Ro considered the possibility that Kun had copied the insignia with his briefcase to confuse Quant. However, Yu-Han explained that the insignias were modified with Shinsu and couldn't be copied. Shibisu and 2 others tried to stop Quant but were easily defeated. Kun was informed they lost sight of Quant. Quant reached the bridge where Anak was headed but encountered Kun. Quant asked about Anak, and Kun told him she had jumped to the lower exit. However, Quant didn't believe him. Kun claimed that Anak was running towards the exit. To deceive Quant, Anak hid inside a blue cube called a lighthouse, controlled by Kun. Kun tried to trick Quant into jumping off the bridge. Quant realized Kun was hiding something, so he decided to jump off the bridge while holding onto Kun. As Kun fell, he released his grip, allowing Anak's sword to save him. Quant fell to the ground alone. Anak climbed back onto the bridge, close to the finish line. Baum watched with his team B, feeling excited about Kun's apparent victory. However, the rest of his team looked at him strangely because Team B couldn't pass if Team A won. But Baum was just excited for his friends. Anak was about to cross the finish line, but to her surprise, Quant was waiting there and swiftly grabbed her insignia, declaring Team A as the loser. Team B celebrated because now they had a chance to take the test. In another room, Kun pretended to apologize to Team A for not being a good leader, but it was all part of a plan to save Baum from disqualification. During the test, with Laura's help, Kun had gone to find Quant and help him climb up the bridge again to catch up with Anak. Meanwhile, in Team B, the members argued about who should be the leader, and Dorsey volunteered and was accepted as the leader. So, Team B attempted a strategy similar to Team A, moving the insignia toward the bridge. Dorsey, Baum, and 2 others took the elevator, while Hats and a couple of spear bearers took the stairs. Serena and Ho waited at the entrance. Serena shared her loss of motivation with Ho, explaining that in the next test, they might have to fight and even harm the people they had come to consider as friends. She recalled a story of how she and her friends were thieves, and a ranker had come and killed them. Head-On had saved her and brought her to the tower. She admitted that at first, killing didn't bother her, but now she was uncertain about it because of the connections she had formed. Ho, on the other hand, didn't care and showed that he was willing to step on others to advance further. Hats became alert as he sensed Quant approaching. He got ready and instructed the other spear bearers to prepare as well. When Dorsey and the others reached the bridge, she suddenly betrayed her teammates by attacking the 2 who weren't Baum. Dorsey shared her painful past with Baum and the group, describing how she came from a family that made adopted girls fight to become a princess of Zahard. She revealed that she had to endure a life of hardship, watching the other girls eat well while she had to eat stale bread. Eventually, she fought and defeated all the other adopted sisters to become a princess candidate. Dorsey expressed her desire to eliminate some members from Team B, as only 4 could pass the test, and there were currently 6 in the group. She was determined to secure her passage to the next stage of the tower's trials. She told Baum that he would have to make tough choices too if he wanted to climb with Rachel. Baum struggled to understand this logic. In the meantime, Hats prepared an ambush with the 2 spear bearers, intending to take advantage of Quant's arrival. Quant arrived somewhat irritated about having to accept Kun's help from the previous game. On the other hand, Ho left Serena alone, as he was beginning to act on his own accord. Back with Dorsey, she continued to fight against the 2 participants she aimed to defeat. Baum tried to reason with her, reminding her of her own past when she was weak. But when she let her guard down, one of the participants attacked her. Baum stepped in to protect Dorsey, but then he decided to find Rachel on his own. Rachel was in her lighthouse when Ho interrupted her. He took her hostage, knowing that he could use her to manipulate Baum. He claimed he had received a mysterious letter instructing him to do this. The test transmission was temporarily stopped to prevent the other team from witnessing these events. Liroro wanted to interrupt the test, but Yuhan insisted on continuing. Hats fought Quant to buy some time, but he was clearly outmatched. He had hoped the spear bearers would ambush Quant, but they betrayed him, fleeing and leaving him to fend for himself. Quant realized this betrayal and decided to confront the traitors. Ho, holding Rachel hostage, panicked as he noticed Bomb approaching. Ho demanded that Bomb fight Quant to save Rachel's life. Bomb, driven by his love for Rachel, agreed without hesitation. Quant used Shinsu to immobilize Bomb, as he was more interested in pursuing the it for the test. Ho, in his desperation, ended up stabbing Rachel. Bomb managed to use the same immobilization technique he learned from Quant, incapacitating Ho. As Ho lay on the ground, he revealed his envy and explained how his own weakness had prevented him from protecting anyone in his village. He admitted that he didn't actually want to harm Rachel but had targeted Bomb out of resentment. Then, Ho tragically took his own life. Serena arrived at the scene to find Ho already dead, and Quant approached them to inform them that the test must continue. Bomb couldn't believe he had lost his friend Ho, and was deeply concerned for Rachel. Dorsey also arrived to engage Quant in a battle that she ultimately won by tricking him into believing he had stolen her badge when, in fact, she had taken his. From the control room, Yuhan declared the test over, with Team B emerging as the winners. The next day, Rack tried to explain how Rachel's companion vanished, and they asked Dorsey about him. Dorsey said she didn't know him well because he was always quiet, and when she found him, he was already with Rachel. Kun returned to his room, thinking about the fact that only 2 wave controllers would pass the test, referring to Bomb's position. He realized that Laura would likely qualify and that everything he did was to ensure Bomb earned enough points to pass. This included convincing Laura to help with his plan and swapping the original letter that Ho received with a different one. A bit later, while Kun was resting in his room, he was interrupted by Rack, who called him to the door. Kun opened it and found a miniature Rack, teasing him. Rack explained that it was Yuhan's fault, as he had bumped into him in the corridors and called him a tiny dwarf. But by the time he realized who he was, Rack had become the dwarf. Rack asked Kun for help to grow back using his magical briefcase, but Kun told him it didn't have that function. Rack then went to annoy Bomb, but Kun advised against it, as he sensed that Bomb had no intention of continuing to climb the tower. Bomb's sole motivation had been Rachel, and now that she was in a coma, he might stay with her. Rack didn't care and said he would drag Bomb along if needed, asking Kun if he wanted Bomb to stay stuck there. Kun admitted he couldn't do anything, but Rack insisted that he could. As Rack was about to leave, Bomb appeared and informed them that Rachel could no longer walk due to her wound. He had decided to continue climbing the tower and be Rachel's legs. Bomb didn't care about reaching the tower's summit or the stars. He just wanted to help Rachel. Hearing this, Kun remembered his own relationship with Maria and reflected on what might have happened if he had abandoned his goals back then. Bomb asked for their help, and Kun pushed Rack aside, telling Bomb to count on him. Kun was proud of his clever and cunning tricks and promised to help Bomb reach the top. Bomb then requested a favor to say goodbye to Ho in a kind of funeral. Serena, who had been close to Ho, arrived, as did Shibisu and the others who considered Ho a friend. Quant and Liroro also joined, and a small ceremony was held with a toast. Later, Bomb was with Rachel, thanking her for attending the funeral despite Ho's actions. Rachel began to cry and confessed that she had abandoned him because she wanted to see the stars and considered his weakness a nuisance. She told Bomb she was no longer the Rachel he loved and said he could abandon her if he wanted. Bomb remembered her as the light in his life, the person who saved him from his dark world. He explained that now he had many friends, but she was the first person he had ever met, and was irreplaceable to him. Rachel apologized for everything and cried. During the night, Serena left the tower without saying goodbye to anyone. Shibisu had anticipated her departure and waited at the exit to bid her farewell. Serena asked him not to meet the same fate as Ho and gave him the dagger she had used. In another scene, Master Yuga secretly talked to someone, mentioning that they would soon retrieve the Black March and the Green April. However, he was interrupted by Yuhan, who discovered his true identity as Ren, the 67th agent of Zahard's royal enforcer. Yuhan offered to help Ren complete his mission, as he considered Anak a threat to the tower's rules. Meanwhile, Kun met with Liroro and informed him about the letter given to Ho. He explained that the letter was delivered before the teams were formed, indicating that the sender knew the participants' positions, specifically that Bomb and Rachel were on the same team. This meant the source of the letter was likely one of the test organizers. Later, Lero Rowe sought out Yuhan to announce the successful participants. In a subsequent room, they announced the passing candidates by class: fishermen, spear bearers, scouts, and wave controllers who had qualified. Rachel was also listed as a light bearer, but due to her injuries, she was disqualified. When one participant complained about the results, Yuhan subjected him to a pain tolerance test. Kun, who was bold and confident, expressed his dissatisfaction and was called forward. He asked for Rachel to participate in the final test, but Yuhan explained that due to her condition, it was impossible. Baum decided to speak up, revealing himself as an irregular. Yuhan asked Baum to accompany him somewhere. While the others debated their decision to collaborate with Baum, Baum was escorted by Yuhan. The majority chose to help Baum as they waited for his return. Baum stood before the administrator and requested permission for Rachel to continue participating in the test. As Baum and Rachel entered the Shinsu bubble, they knew that they were the prey in the underwater hunt test. The others had become hunters. Net dolphins, which looked like seals, would fish once a day for their queen by creating a Shinsu net. Baum and Rachel's bubble had to be caught in this net and then spat out by the queen, which would mean they passed the test. The hunter's task was to protect the fish collected by the net dolphins from goblins who used worm-like creatures as vacuum cleaners. Allowing the goblins to steal the fish would fail the test. Striped pig-like creatures in the area could scare away the goblins, but participants had to keep them near the net dolphins or use them to distract the goblins. Lastly, a terrifying monster known as the bull roamed the area, and they had to avoid it at all costs. The test began, with Baum and Rachel inside the Shinsu bubble. The seals entered the water, while Hatz's group watched over the goblins. Rak and the spear-bearer group waited above, ready to join the fight when needed. Shibisu's group guarded against the pigs, and Kun observed from the lighthouse. Yuri's group, which was getting closer to Baum, also started to move. Baum talked to Rachel about Yuri, mentioning that she was the princess who lent him the sword. Hatz informed Kun that his companions had disappeared. Shibisu found himself facing the bull, which was devouring a participant. He tried to get its attention, but it wasn't easy. Eventually, he jumped onto the bull with Serena's dagger, trying to attack it, but it was futile. Anak arrived to fight the bull, and Endorsi also joined the fight. They made a bet. If Anak defeated the bull, Endorsi would become her servant for life. If she lost, Anak would surrender the Green April to Endorsi. Simultaneously, Rak received a message from Hatz about the goblins' movement. There were more goblins than expected. Kun instructed Hatz to find out their destination, and Rak's spear-bearer group prepared for a surprise attack. In the Shinsu bubble, the net dolphins were forming their net. Kun, unable to see the depths, relied on Neri, who was on the surface with Laura. Neri controlled divine fish with Shinsu to help Kun locate an underground path. Endorsi continued her battle with the bull but hadn't defeated it yet, and her turn was almost up. The monster captured her, but she managed to break free. The bull let out a loud scream and fled. Anak kept searching for the bull and came across Ren. Anak tried to ignore Ren, but when he mentioned her mother and showed her mother's necklace, she stopped. Ren introduced himself and admitted to being the one who killed her mother, shocking Anak. Meanwhile, the goblins continued advancing. Rak asked if they could attack, but Kun stopped him. He had another plan thanks to Neri's abilities. Anak attacked Ren to take the necklace back, but Ren defended himself and wounded Anak, stabbing her through the abdomen. Then Ren took the Green April and handed it to Endorsi, telling her to clap the imposter, Anak, and redeem herself. This specific test was designed to eliminate Anak since her birth went against the tower's rules. Endorsi was given the Green April to carry out this task. As Hatz tried to remain hidden from the goblins, he and one of the spear bearers were discovered, causing their plans to go awry. Endorsi approached Anak not to finish her off, but to return the Green April and receive the Black March. They planned to confront Ren together. Meanwhile, Shibisu continued to search for the princesses and, while shouting, encountered Yuri. Rak grew tired of fleeing from the goblins, so he decided to confront them. Back with the princesses, they managed to subdue Ren. However, when Endorsi lowered her guard, Ren attacked her and then Anak, leaving Anak wounded. Yuri arrived at the scene, surprising Ren. Ren introduced himself, and Yuri saw her sword on the ground and decided to take the job of recovering the swords into her own hands. Back with Rak, he and the other spear bearers got surrounded by multiple goblins. Laura used his powers to make his companions float in the air to protect them. Goblins were now fighting against pigs led by Neri, Laura, and Kun. Everyone thanked Kun, who decided to take a break. Suddenly, someone very similar to Kun, Hatchuling, appeared. He was Kun's relative, and he had been accompanying Yuri on her journey along with Evan and Curtin. Meanwhile, Yu-Han watched the tests with Liro Ro and Quant and realized there was an infiltrator. When they tried to identify the infiltrator, the signal was cut by Hatchuling. Liro Ro found Yu-Han suspicious for staying calm during this situation. Hatchuling spoke with Kun, but Kun wasn't particularly interested in what he had to say. Hatchuling offered to take Kun to see Princess Maria, but Kun declined the offer. Evan and Curtin rushed to find Yuri, even though she wasn't in trouble. They needed to be by her side. On the way, they were interrupted by Yu-Han, who invited them for coffee and raised several questions. However, Evan got straight to the point and told Yu-Han they were there to retrieve the Black March. Yu-Han understood and maintained a neutral stance. Meanwhile, Yuri effortlessly defeated Ren. Just as she was about to kill him, Evan communicated with her through his pocket, telling her she couldn't help Anak. Yuri stepped away from Ren, and Curtin eliminated him. As Kun rejected an offer to see Maria, Hats tried to help him fight Hatchuling, but Hatchuling dodged the attack and withdrew. Hats sensed that something bad was happening, as Kun usually didn't rest when his friends were in danger. Ren lay crushed, while Yuri managed to recover the Black March. Ren told Yuri that what she was really looking for was Bomb, who had been targeted by the bull. Bomb was talking to Rachel, mentioning that he was no longer the same because he had friends now and could control Shinsu to some extent. Suddenly, the bull arrived and started attacking him. Yuri wanted to interfere, but Anak and others urged her not to, as it would disqualify Bomb. They decided to trust Bomb to pass the test. Bomb was struggling against the bull, getting injured multiple times. He eventually freed himself by exploding the monster from the inside using his Shinsu, emitting a radiant light. After defeating the bull, Bomb fell into Rachel's arms. Yuri trusted Bomb's friends, so she took the green April and left a message for Bomb with Shibisu, asking him to tell Bomb that she would be waiting on the 77th floor. She then left with Evan. Evan encountered HWA Ryan, who turned out to be a guide as well. He didn't understand why she was in that place. Returning to Bomb and Rachel, they were about to be swallowed by the Queen of the Net Dolphins. Bomb believed they would pass the test and could climb the tower together. Rachel asked to hold his hand, but then she surprisingly pushed him out of the Shinsu bubble, sending him falling into the deep abyss. Bomb was left in shock as he watched Rachel distance herself and sank deeper into the depths. Rachel appeared strangely calm after betraying her best friend, Bomb. We got to see a memory of how she came to the tower in the first place. She wasn't the chosen one, Bomb was. Head-on, the guardian of the first floor, showed Rachel an awakening of a savior, making it clear that Bomb was the person they were waiting for. Rachel begged to climb the tower and said she'd do anything. Head-on agreed to give her a chance, but with a test, she had to clap Bomb. In other words, she had to stop him herself. Rachel accepted but said she was too weak, so Head-on offered her a powerful guardian to fight on her behalf, and even to bring her back to life once if needed. This guardian was the same companion she had when she met in Dorsey. The companion gave up his life to bring Rachel back, and that's how Rachel managed to catch up to Bomb and try to clap him. As time went on, Rachel's envy and hatred for Bomb grew. She was frustrated by his growing circle of friends and the attention he received. HWA Ryan and a ranker helped clap Rachel in a plan to get her closer to Bomb. Rachel's plan worked, and she was alone with Bomb again, aiming to end him once and for all. In the end, Rachel betrayed Bomb and pushed him out of the Shinsu bubble. After this, Rachel lied to the others, saying that Bomb couldn't survive the attack from the bull. Later, Liro Ro gathered the participants and informed them that Bomb's body couldn't be found, suggesting the fish may have eaten him. The test was over and everyone had passed. Bomb's friends, except Kun, vowed to fulfill their promise to take Rachel to the top of the tower to see the stars. Kun had suspicions about Rachel but pretended to go along with the plan. Liro Ro decided to resign and invited Quant to investigate the matter by climbing the tower further. Meanwhile, Yu-Han took the remaining participants to continue their tests in a different location. Bomb was revealed to be alive and was found by HWA Ryan. He woke up and wanted to know why Rachel tried to harm him. HWA Ryan told him he had to climb the tower again to find the answers to everything. She offered to help him train. Several years passed, and we saw the adult Bomb with his back to us, continuing his journey to climb the tower. Watch this next video. See you on the next one.